Hello friends, welcome to our channel. Today Renee and I are going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to our hearts, and going by what we've noticed that a lot of people look at from our channel, it's about Mexico and what we loved about living in Mexico. And so Renee, I'm going to kick it in your direction first. What did you love about living in Mexico?
The slower pace. People weren't blowing their horns at you. If you were driving through small towns or whatever, like San Miguel de Allende, didn't have stop signs within the main city.
Right.
And they would motion you on. They were very kind.
And when you say kind, I mean, sometimes, it would be our turn to go and we're driving and we're sitting there in our Forester and we didn't realize that it was our time to go. Now, in most places we've been at in the United States, about one split second after it's your turn to go, people are laying on the horn.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't run into that there. Now, you may in large towns that, San Luis Potosí or Monterrey, but where we were at, no.
Well, and like I wasn't used to, like, say, like in Ensenada, a four-way stop thing, and then taking your turns. It was kind of like, oh, is it my turn? So I was probably
Don't want to be the gringo that gets a ticket.
yeah, been there, done that there. But yeah, just going to restaurants. You just leisurely have time to talk with each other, or someone would help us with the menu with not speaking Spanish, especially in it reminds me of Valley Dorado. And we were in this little restaurant.
Valley Dorado, for you, if you're not familiar, is kind of like a suburb of what used to be Nueva Vallarta, and it's now called Nueva Nayarit, and that is the next town over. It's in a different state, but it's the next town over from Puerto Vallarta.
Right.
And Valley Dorado is kind of across the highway from Nueva Nayarit.
Yeah, and I remember going in this little restaurante, and they spoke no English. We spoke un poquito español. And it was really funny. Someone else in there eating got up and came over and said, "Can I help you guys?" And he was, I guess he lived there, but very kind, very nice. And, we appreciated that with the people. They laughed at us, with especially me with the southern accent trying to pronounce Spanish words, and they would go, don't understand, and it was fun. It was relaxing. It was meeting different people and hearing different language, which is something we've always liked.
Yeah, I love being in an airport and just sitting there quietly listening to different languages, and that's cool. And don't get us wrong, I know someone is dropping a comment down below. Stop right now with that comment of learn the language if you're going to live somewhere. We didn't plan on living there forever. And so, we want to visit a lot of different countries, a lot of different places. I've been in like 43 different countries. Yeah, I can't learn the language for every one of them, but we do try. We learn some of the local words and some phrases. We mispronounce them very badly, but we try. And the difference is, I think here in the U.S., if you're speaking a foreign language, and I've heard, and I bet you have too, heard people say this, if you're going to come to America, you better speak English. Oh, come on. Have a little compassion and be kind. And that is what we noticed in
Right.
Mexico. Very compassionate, very much,
Right.
very kind people. One thing that I liked or loved about living in Mexico is, and don't get me wrong, don't be offended, but it would seem like for me, and I carry a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and I have heart issues. And as soon as we crossed the border, maybe not the first 10 miles, because, there's a little apprehension when you first cross a border. But after that, you can feel the weight coming off. You can feel, I can breathe a little better. It's a slower pace of life, like you said. And,
Right.
and it's a little better, a little easier to enjoy everything when it's a slower pace of life.
Well, and I wouldn't say they're as impatient as us Americans are. We want something, fast food should be fast. We want things bump, 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 bump. And it's more of the experience there. You savor your meal. You don't, hey, I've worked in a doctor's office where you have 5 minutes to eat. You cram it in, you keep on going, and there you can relax.
And talking about food, that's something that I love. I love food anyway, except for transplant organs. I don't like liver and things like that. But the food in Mexico, and like you said, when you go into a restaurant, there's no rush at all. Now your food will come to you quickly, but they're usually cooking it, especially if you're in an outdoor restaurant. They're cooking it right there in front of you, and it's fresh ingredients, and not all the preservatives. In fact, when you go into a grocery store, most of the food products that are packaged food products, if they've got excess sugar, excess calories, excess fats in that, they've got like a warning thing on the label from like the health department saying, "Hey, this is crap. You don't want to eat it."
What was it, like a black stop sign?
Yeah, on each one, and there's excess azucar, excess sugars, and so hey, Bobby Kennedy Jr. Maybe we need to be putting that on the things here in the U.S. And I've noticed that in Canada too. You can go to McDonald's and the food tastes totally much better, and same thing in Mexico. The food tasted so much better, and I think it's because you're getting fresh ingredients.
Well, and they have those fresh little markets. It's not like farmers markets here are pretty seasonal, where we have pretty good season in Mexico all the time. So I mean, there's little, I forget what they're called, but remember we would leave Todos Santos and we would go to the meat market, and we could get our meats there, and then we would go to they were like tents that were set up, and they'd have fresh vegetables and fruits under it. Sometimes they would have nuts and things like that, but it was just really good, really fresh, and you were supporting the local people, because like in Todos Santos there was no chain mercados. They were all little mom and pop little places that were.
Now in Nueva Vallarta and the bigger cities, yes, you've got the big chain grocery stores
Walmart,
and Soriana and Chedraui and things like that. And
right.
in fact, if you look back on some of our videos, some of them are like, I think one of them we called it the Taj Mahal of grocery stores in Mexico, and that one was in where was that one at?
The one in San Miguel.
Oh, in San Miguel de Allende.
Yeah.
Oh
and
my gosh.
The Chedrauis were really nice too.
But when we've been in Europe, I kind of like that thing of if you want vegetables, you go down to the little vegetable mart. If you want meat, you go to the meat mart. If you want cheeses, you go to the cheese store. If you want bread, you go to the bread store. I like that. I think you're getting a fresher product, and like you said, you're supporting a local person there.
Well, one funny thing that happened in a little small market in Todos Santos was, you sat in the car with Jenny, and I went in and I wanted sliced cheese. Oh, well, that's pure American thing, because I looked at the man. He gave me a block of cheese from in the little refrigerated thing, And I looked at him and I went like this, and he went, no. And I went,
cut your own
yeah,
cheese, lady.
sorry. So, it is little things like that that, we take for granted that, that's the way we want things. But, so it's adapting to their ways of cooking and stuff, which is really interesting, different ways to do things, and different ways to travel, because if you go out near the beaches, a lot of those roads are not paved, so have a good vehicle that sits up higher.
We have a Subaru.
Yeah,
so.
my Mini Cooper would not have made it.
No, probably not.
Yeah, between potholes and whatever.
Another thing that I really liked was the cost of living. I mean, now granted, we've been out of Mexico for 2 years, and we'll tell in another video later why. It has nothing to do with Mexico. Trust us on that. But when we were there, and I understand things have gone up a little bit, but hey, they've gone up everywhere on the planet, I believe. But things were cheaper. I mean, from what I've been told, and people say, I don't know if I could live there. It's more expensive. How would your quality of life be? I've been told that, if you'll look at like a doctor, and we got to meet and know a doctor there, look at the way he's able to live or she's able to live, and if you're on retirement income like we are, our retirement income is greater than what that doctor is drawing in a salary. And so you're going to live at least as well as a doctor. Hello. I mean, you think about every doctor in Canada or the USA or anywhere else, they seem to live pretty good, unless they're a really bad doctor and they've had a lot of malpractice suits, but they live pretty good. And so, we lived, by the standards there, we lived very nicely. And the cost of living, I think, is really what helps you on that. It seemed like food, especially food eating out. And it's almost cheaper or as cheap to eat out as it is to go to the grocery store and fix it all yourself. I like cooking. We like doing some things at home, but hey, I like going to restaurants and eating out too, and getting to know the local people. And so the cost of living was something for me that I loved.
Yeah, and the places where we would stay would be in a community, which I liked because we could walk the community, and it was, you met the next door neighbors. Couldn't really communicate too well with them, but
I don't know. We met some nice folks from Canada, and they communicated English, so it worked out okay.
Yeah, and we always were friendly to the dogs.
Yeah, dogs. Yeah. And that's another thing that I loved about Mexico is, at least in the places that we were in, Ensenada and Todos Santos and San Felipe, and I probably didn't pronounce that correctly because a lot of people have told me that I don't. And then Nueva Vallarta and different places that we've been were very dog friendly.
Yeah.
Jenny, our little toy poodle, would go to restaurants with us. And I think only one time, and that was up in San Luis Potosi maybe, or Monterey. It was in Monterey. We went to a restaurant and they said, "Oh, no pero, no pero." Really? She's eating at a place in San Miguel de Allende that is like a 5-star Michelin rating kind of restaurant that the former president of Mexico goes, or used to, would go there and eat. And Jenny would go in there, and the owner would go immediately before they took our order, would go in the kitchen and come back with bacon for our pup. And so,
he loved dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're one of those people who say dogs don't belong in stores, dogs don't belong, fine, I don't care. You live your life, we live ours. But our dog was very welcome there.
Well, and in La Paz, it was at night, and we would walk at night. It was Yeah.
Is it safe to walk at night in Mexico?
We did.
It was for us.
No problems. We were aware of our surroundings, but I remember we ate at a really good restaurant right near the Chedraui. And after we left, we needed to pick up a few things, and we have a little stroller for Jenny because she's over 17, so she gets tired. Plus, with the pavement hot, I don't want it to scorch her little feet. So she rides in a little doggy stroller.
And she's deaf now and
Yeah,
mostly
and
blind.
sight. Yeah. So and she loves it. She loves when the people paid attention to her and everything. So he goes into the grocery store, and it's upscale. Mexican grocery store, Mexican owned.
And when we say upscale, there's an escalator that
Yeah.
takes you and your cart up.
Covered parking.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very nice.
Very nice.
So I'm outside with
Grocery
her, because, I'm not going to take her in the grocery store. And one of the men at Chedraui comes out and spoke very little English, but he was concerned about me standing outside at night with her. I felt fine, nobody was around me, but he was adamant in me going in Chedraui. And so I'm like, Pero, and he's like,
It's a baby carriage, but there's not
get
really a baby
get
in
in
there.
the store, lady. So here I am trying to find Gene. He's in the bakery section, and he looks at me like, what are you doing in here? Get her out. And I'm like, no, the Chedraui man said to bring her in. So she got to go in the really nice grocery store, and she's not walking in there. She's contained in a stroller. She's quiet, she's not barking if she was barking and being obnoxious, I could see them saying, get him out, get him out. But he was very nice, but, the concern, I felt totally fine. It was well lit outside, and it was actually nice breeze, and all.
And look, the safety, it works. Here it is. It works the same way everywhere.
Right.
Don't buy drugs. Don't sell drugs. Don't hang around with drug dealers. If you see something going down, look the other way and go be somewhere else.
Right.
Don't do stupid stuff, and you'll be fine wherever you are, for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, just they're really nice. They're peaceful people. They smile. They speak to you. And of course, we did get laughs about Jenny being in a stroller. But hey, we get that here too. So people are people.
And that's the thing. I have found anywhere that if you smile at people and you give a greeting, give a welcome, buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, it goes a long way. People will smile and give a greeting back to you.
Right.
Now, I've seen people in the U.S. and probably other places too, but I live in the U.S., so it's what I see the most. Not everybody that you say, "How you doing today?" is going to respond to you. Some of them will just look at you like,
"Why are you talking to me? Do I know you?"
Yeah. So, and to give an illustration or an example for you about cost of living, and if you work for AT&T or any of the big major cell phone people in the USA, hey, in the USA, I don't know how much our cell phone plan cost, but it's very expensive. I think it's is
40,
it like $40, $45, $50,
40.
Something like that a month, a piece.
Yeah.
And I had seen this on someone else's YouTube channel and looked it up and thought, wow. And so the first year, it was at Eagle Pass, Texas, crossing into Piedras Negras, Mexico, stopped at an AT&T store and went in there and looked at the plans. And they've got a plan there that if you pay for the year in advance, then you get a second year for free. And what it covers is unlimited data, unlimited text, unlimited calls, anywhere across Mexico, and anywhere across the USA, and anywhere across Canada. You can be in any of those three countries, and your phone is going to work fine. And when you divide, you pay for 1 year in advance, all of it, and then you get the second year for free. You divide that out by 24 to see what you're paying for per month, and it's like $13 and something a month.
Yep.
Hello. AT&T is the same thing in Mexico as it is in the USA and Canada. Why can't AT&T? Why can't you do that for the folks up in USA and Canada? So, cost of living was a little bit cheaper.
Another thing that we loved was very walkable towns. Yeah, very walkable. You know, you have to watch out for cobblestone streets like in San Miguel. Yeah, I didn't fare too well there one day. But that was coming down some steps and they'd kind of crumbled on an edge. And I turned my ankle over. But, and broke my ankle.
Go back and look at some of our videos of San Miguel. And
excellent hospital
we
care.
covered the cost of medical care there, and astronomically cheaper than what it would have been if it had been in the USA.
Yes, but yeah, the towns are very walkable. Like in La Paz, they had this really nice area that wasn't too far from where we stayed. That it had a bike path and a very nice walking path, like to the side, that had barriers up so cars couldn't get into it. Then that was very nice.
Then of course the Malecon.
The Malecon, absolutely gorgeous.
If you live in an oceanside city in the USA, the boardwalk.
Right.
They call it the Malecon there.
But a lot bigger than our boardwalks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the one in La Paz, I think, was, 3 to 5 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah, very walkable, very pretty, had statues up. It had areas where you could go out, like on a pier, you know, and it didn't go anywhere. It just got you out, you know, onto the water. But really pretty, nice marinas down.
And Puerto Vallarta did the same thing. The Malecon there.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, a whole different area as far as seeing, you know, like I had never really seen the Pacific. So seeing the Pacific in Todos Santos was gorgeous. But yeah, La Paz was on the Sea of Cortez or the Gulf of California. So that was more of the hot area. Where you'd have the breezes on the Pacific side.
And another thing that we loved, or that I loved, was the gorgeous cathedrals. In most any town, city that you are in Mexico, there are some gorgeous cathedrals that you are welcome to go and tour, to look in. And if you go on a Sunday for a worship service, you're welcome, of course, to do so. Might not understand much, but it's still, you know, very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, one of the most photographed ones was in San Miguel. A gorgeous pink cathedral. I can't pronounce the name of it, but gorgeous.
Another thing that we loved was the people, like we've said before, the people we met, the Mexican people. But we also met some folks from Canada and some folks from the USA that, you know, we're talking about now, it would be close to 4 years ago, that are still our friends today, that we still either Renee text with, or I'll WhatsApp with, or email to. And, you know, friends that, you know, sometimes, you know, friends are there for a reason, sometimes friends are there for a season, sometimes friends are there for a lifetime. And I think some of these are our lifetime friends. Yeah. You ran into something a couple of days ago, trying to cross a highway. Now, we're not talking about an interstate highway. We're talking about a two-lane...
A road inside of a city.
Yeah.
And I was taking my mother to an Italian restaurant in her local city. And, you know, I learned from driving, you know, and taking your driving course, you know, if a pedestrian was in a crosswalk, you stop. And as we're trying to cross it, the lane close to us is fine because they're stopped from a stoplight. So I get out into the center, and the other side they're going by, and I mean they're flying by.
In a
And
25-mile-an-hour zone,
yeah,
flying
inside the city. I mean, right down the street from the police department. And I do the stop, and three of them just didn't pay any attention. My mother has bad eyesight, and what if people were to cross that? I mean, she would have been hit, and you see people being hit in grocery store parking lots because people are crossing in the crosswalk, and they say they don't see them and then they hit them. We didn't see, I don't think, any of that there. People seem to be very cautious. There's
not to say that it doesn't happen.
Right, but it's like, do people not value life?
They're in too much of a hurry.
Yeah, they're, and I know it was on a Friday out, Friday night, I think it was Thursday or Friday night, but you can't be that much in a hurry, and all the time here we hear siren after siren after siren.
Yeah,
and,
night and day.
Yeah, and it's just, goodness, people just slow down, and here if you're on an interstate or a bypass that's bypassing the city, I mean, if you're not like driving a race car and your they want you to tailgate people. I don't tailgate because I'm gonna hit them. but oh my goodness, you to get some, or to cut you off or to pull directly out in front of you on a interstate. I mean, that happened recently to me too. And, you can't be that much in a hurry. You can be 5 minutes late somewhere, but alive.
And that's something we like I say, we loved about Mexico is that
right.
People are going at a slower pace of life, and they take time to smell the roses or the cacti in some cases.
And then like in your bigger cities like Puerto Vallarta, yeah, they're rushing. There's a lot of taxis, and you're right around the airport, so it is busy, but they have a good supply of police activity that's watching traffic and other things, and all. So you do see the presence of them a lot more than you do here, I would say.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the first time that I saw, what is it, the National Guard there?
Guardia Nacional.
See.
See, I can't speak a little bit of Espanol.
It was kind of like, oh, it kind of catches you off guard because we don't, not yet do we see that here in the United States. But, especially if you were in a highly populated city, I would say like Puerto Vallarta, seemed like you had more police presence there because of, pickpocketers and stuff like that could happen. I would say like New York City,
Well, I think one thing you're saying is that it seems like that the community or the municipality wants, if you're a tourist, they want you to feel safe.
Right.
And like New York City, they could care less whether you feel safe or not. Drop a couple of Benjamins and get out of town. They don't care.
Well, and two, then, if there's places that, we met a sweet man in San Miguel de Allende that, said, hey, don't travel to these places, because we were driving an American plated car, which is kind of like ding, 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 there's red lights on you. Here I am, we're tourists. And, if you will take time to listen to the local people, you know, when they tell you, hey, don't go to this area, you don't go.
Right.
I mean, you know, if somebody told me, you know, don't go to somewhere in the U.S., I'm not going to go either. Because, you know.
East St. Louis, hello. Detroit, parts of Detroit, parts of Chicago, parts of Baltimore, parts of Norfolk, Virginia. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you just, you know.
Memphis.
You know, they're kind people, and, you know, they come up, they speak to you, and they're just friendly, good people. The ones that we met.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some that are not, you know, like everywhere else, but, you know, that was not our case.
No. So if we're wrapping it up, we loved our time in Mexico and want to go back. And we love the people there, love the food there, love the climate, love the architecture within the Mexican towns, loved being on the Pacific coast. And also, like you said, around La Paz, oh my goodness, gorgeous, gorgeous on the Sea of Cortez. Love the weather. And of course, they have hurricanes and things like that. But
right.
Hey, you're a lot closer to the equator, and so it was warmer. It was nice, and so you know we love Mexico and loved our time there.
Yeah, miss Mexico.
Yep.
Yeah.
Folks, we love you too, and thank you so much for watching our channel. Hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already done so, share our content. Don't forget to ring that little bell so that you'll know when we have a fresh video out. And of course, usually every Monday night at 8 p.m., a fresh video comes out. In the meantime, go back and look at some of the ones you've missed, because we've done some very interesting travels across the USA, across Canada, east and west, and across Mexico. Thank you so much for joining us on the journey.